Harry and Meghan Markle planning on utilizing the chaos going on within the Windsor family to try to reposition themselves within the royal fold? I think that's definitely a possibility after we saw Harry and Meghan in Texas last weekend really trying to live it up as former royals. They were trying to do all the royal things, just trying to get us all to remember that, yes, they are royal. But like the rest of us, Harry and Meghan also know that really to be seen as royalty, you really need to be in Europe. When you're in America, it just doesn't work quite the same way. And I think Harry and Meghan are definitely feeling the heat after their Netflix deal is seemingly on the wayside. Obviously, they've lost Spotify, their next podcast deal with Lemonada. That's iffy. I mean, Meghan's podcast did get to #2 on the iTunes charts, but I don't know how much that was reflected in actual listens. And obviously you had almost a tug of war between the 5 stars and the 1 star. So lots going on there, but Harry and Meghan definitely have this unstable ground they're working on right now. And I think very seriously an uncertain future. So getting back into the royal fold, I mean, that would be great. And right now you could say that the Windsors are dealing with a bit of a crisis, and particularly a PR crisis. This whole situation with Catherine in the Photoshop could have been avoided if they had done something earlier within the social media sphere to sort of mitigate some of these "where is Kate" rumors and all these sorts of things, because this has totally and completely spiraled out of control, and it didn't have to be that way. But you see where Harry and Meghan might see an opportunity and sort of portray themselves as, oh, we're better at PR, even though they're not. And look, we don't use as much Photoshop. Look, this photographer here told us that he didn't use any Photoshop, and look, he's defending himself online, and we are the betters of the bunch. But we all know that's not really the case. And in fact, I would say Harry and Meghan are pretty egregious when it comes to photoshopping one single thing. And that is Prince Harry's hair. They Photoshop hair on that guy all the time. And when you see other pictures, it's like, oh, that looks so bad. Look, Harry's hair, oh my gosh, that looks so bad. But it is an interesting comparison to see where Harry and Meghan are really utilizing and trying to leverage this situation, of course, to benefit themselves, because that is what Harry and Meghan always do. Anytime the Windsors are in crisis, anytime they could utilize the support of Harry and Meghan, and especially Catherine. Meghan just went on her soapbox last week, talked about harassment on social media and how, isn't it so terrible that women are not uplifting women. And yet, a friend of hers tells the media, well, this would never have happened with Meghan because Meghan's too much of a perfectionist. And it's like, oh, come on. We can all tell right now throughout this whole thing, you don't really care about Catherine. So we are going to talk about this PR debacle, the Misan Harriman thing, and just so many things regarding this whole weird crisis. It is crazy. So guys, if you haven't been to Royal News Network before, my name is Brittany, and I provide y'all compelling royal commentary with my occasional fabulous co-host here, Miss Pippa. She loves all things royal as well, and she would like to tell you guys about all the royal dogs in the royal family. No, she probably won't tell you about that, but she is very excited. So if you guys want to hit that subscribe button, I mean, she would be so thankful for it. It helps her get bones. Maybe we should do like a subscriber thing with you and like give you a bunch of bones for every subscriber that comes on with this video. She would love that. I mean, we'd have to parse them out because we wouldn't want her to get sick. But yes, she is such a good girl. She would be so thankful if you guys subscribed. Yes. But back to all seriousness, guys. Again, I would love to have you back. We talk about royal commentary things, and I'm working on a podcast / I don't know if it'll be live stream now. I'm kind of debating, but I kind of do want to do live stream / recording regarding all royal news. I was working on that a bit today, so hopefully maybe I'll have something for the members to check out here sometime this week to get you guys an idea of what's coming and any thoughts you might have. And then I also have like an upcoming trip to Scotland with my members if you want to check that out. And if you want any links to my jewelry, those will be down below as well. All of 2024 for the royal family has been just really one epic train wreck. It really has been. And I am very much in a royal family apologist, you could say. I try to think of things that logically make sense by what they're doing. But I do have to agree with a lot of what people are saying is here, this is a mess. And I think this is a mess that could have been somewhat mitigated. And I was actually watching Megyn Kelly interviewing Dan Woon because a shorter video clip came up and I wanted to watch something longer, and he actually had some interesting points to pull out here. But one of the things Megyn Kelly said, which I think somewhat rings true, is that when you're as famous as Catherine, the Princess of Wales, is, to disappear for 3 or 4 months it's a pretty big deal. And I totally understand that. And I think the royal family and perhaps the palace, I hope they learn a lot of lessons from this situation, because how this whole thing devolved and how all of a sudden it started driving the mainstream media is that I think the royals are very much stuck, you could say almost in the 1950s, 1990s, something like that. They're very still stuck in the Elizabethan era. And yes, they are slowly evolving, slowly changing, but the ship is not turning as fast as it should, because there are strategies in order to get ahead of social media narratives. And when, yes, the Where is Catherine thing came up, I mean, I thought it was unbelievably stupid, and I still do. They gave us a pretty good explanation. I buy it, and I think that's fine. But once the media, social media track really got going, they needed perhaps somebody better than me in some ways to go, this could be a problem. Once it started getting picked up by mainstream media, it's like, oh, this is starting to be a problem. And it's just the train that kept chugging, and just introducing and having the photoshopped elements within the picture just magnified everything to 11, because it gave credence to the rumors that she's not doing as well as we think she is, that she might be much sicker, that, I mean, some people have even proposed that she's dead of all things. And I'm like, oh, goodness gracious is me. There's a lot of silliness going on. And I will say, when it comes to this photoshopped picture, I'm of the opinion that everybody sat for the picture. She just wanted to get the best images of the kids. But I can also see where it might have been somewhat of a composite, and that she wasn't actually feeling well enough or feeling like she looked like herself enough to maybe sit for it. But I just really don't think that's the case. And I know people have conflated and go, oh, we saw this picture of her being driven around by her mom and her face looked puffy. That's what Meghan Kelly said. And I was like, it's a long distance shot. It's not a great picture. It's really hard to determine. She's wearing sunglasses. Like, you can see maybe a little bit, but it's really hard to say definitively that X is not the case. And obviously, I think all the lighting with everyone makes sense. So I just really don't feel like that's totally the case. But it could be true, and it brings up some interesting things about the Photoshop. I have broad spectrum, no issue with Photoshop. Everybody uses it. Celebrities, royalty, everybody uses Photoshop. I pulled up some Photoshopped images within my last video from like the Dutch royals. There's one really bad picture from like the Spanish royals, which is like all their grandchildren, and it's clearly like 1,000% Photoshopped. Like, it's clearly so unbelievably fake. And so I don't have an issue with that though, because sometimes, hey, you can't get kids to sit still. Oh my gosh, that's a great shot, but oh my gosh, there's a hair in the way. Actually, there was a video, and I wrote down the time code, and I can't remember if I kept it now, because there was a moment where there was a hair caught and it fell, and my shirt was black, and when I was editing, I was like, oh my gosh, there's like a hair on my boob. And I was like watching it, and I was like, and as I was looking through it, I was like, I could actually see the moment the hair dropped, because I was like, did it look like that the whole video? No. So if anybody else picked up on that, bravo to you, because there was like I finally actually caught the time code moment. But that's all to say is that we all use Photoshop, and if I knew how to like edit that thing out, I would have done it. I have no clue, so I didn't. But that's all to say is that people do edit things, because life happens. Things aren't 100% perfect. I mean, we see pictures of supermodels all the time without a flaw in their legs. You know, they'll have these really long leg shots and there's not a flaw there. But there is. We just don't see it, because every single thing we see, pictures of food, pictures of people working out, like everything we see is Photoshopped to an extent. Every imperfection can be masked. And because of that, I don't really have any issue with Photoshop, because I kind of go with the Gregory House approach, which is everybody lies. And so I think everybody uses Photoshop. That I don't have an issue with. But what Catherine's thing could delve into, I think, a realm that I think is dangerous, is if she never actually did sit for this picture, and that maybe it was her sister who sat for the picture, and then the kids were composited onto it, or her face was composited onto that of her sister's. Again, I'm not saying that's true at all. I'm not saying that's true at all. But if it's something like that, then we dip into the realm of they are really trying to mask the truth. And I think that's a dangerous, dangerous tactic. And so when it comes to Harry and Meghan in this instance, Harry and Meghan have really tried to portray themselves as, we are just so saintly and divine. I mean, they have not taken responsibility for any of the things that they have ever done. It is always somebody else's fault, and their photographers and friends, of course, are no exception. Because when it comes to Misan Harriman, he took the pictures of Harry and Meghan when they announced they were pregnant with Lilibet. There's 2 pictures, and it was taken with an iPad, and he clicked shutter from like thousands of miles away. I thought the whole thing at the time was like, oh, he took it from a distance, like across the ocean. They set up this iPad. I thought it was stupid. I thought it was stupid at the time. I still think it's unbelievably stupid. Why can't they just take their own freaking pictures? I don't understand. Like, if you're having somebody from thousands of miles away click the shutter, why don't you just click the shutter yourself, for pizza? Like, put it on a timer, get an assistant there to click the button when they think it's, I mean, why is this like his shot when he like didn't do, like you guys had to do everything. Like, he helped composite it a little bit, but let's be honest here, he didn't really do much at all. So when looking at that picture, I don't really have any issues with it. I know some people are like, oh, the tree wasn't there, because in an interview, he tried to be cute. And when you try to be cute, that doesn't always work. He tried to be cute and sassy and clever, and it's backfired on him massively. So just to be clear, because I think there's a lot of confusion on this, what happened is a presenter who was interviewing Misan Harriman asked him about that particular picture and insinuated that, oh, the tree wasn't there, was it? And Misan tried to deflect, but the crucial thing here is he didn't actually answer the question, and now he's getting clapback on it, and he's not happy. So let me read to you this little exchange, because I think this is very important to settle on a ground of this is what actually happened and then build from there. The presenter asked him, they weren't actually under a willow tree. They were lying outside in a meadow, weren't they, Harry and Meghan, when you took the photograph of them? Harriman replied, yeah, they were lost in their love at home in their garden, comfortable and celebrating new joy. But now he's clarifying, saying, I suggest you listen to the podcast. I was asked a leading question by the host. I ignored it and spoke about the love my friends have for each other. How can that be turned into an article about me replacing a tree is crazy? Well, it's crazy because you let them do it. Like, it's just that Meghan approach of, I didn't do anything wrong. It's just the media conflating things. Well, yeah, they conflated things because you said it. You said it. You didn't say something simple like, the tree was there. Everything that you see in the picture, there's nothing that I amended except for making it a black and white picture, which is not, I feel like some people like, this is like a great thing. I made the picture black and white. Oh, doesn't that make it so much more grand? No, it really doesn't. So everything that you see in that picture, it's 100% there, and let me go, but it's really about their love. I mean, don't talk about that stuff. Talk about their love. But he didn't do that. And because of that, now people are questioning him, and he's getting mad that people are questioning him. Like, it's just like the roundabout logic that I see so much aggravates me. And he apparently in his video post, which I won't really play because honestly I don't care that much, he said that it was dangerous of the media to take this narrative. But it's like, but you didn't answer the question. It all comes back to you trying to be clever and not answer the question because you didn't like the question, rather than at least giving them a little bit of snippet of saying, no, everything that you saw in the picture was real, and then moving on to talking about their love, because you have to talk inanely about their love and how special and important and amazing they are if they're Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. But the thing is, Harry and Meghan, of course, they do use Photoshop quite a bit. They do, like everybody. And the thing is again, like I said, I don't have a problem with people touching up people. Hey, I wish somebody would touch up me from time to time. I had to do my own makeup, my own hair, my own Photoshop, everything. And I don't really use Photoshop. I make my pictures brighter. I change the contrast, but that's the extent of it. But when it comes to Harry and Meghan, there's 2 big things that they tend to fix. And one of them, of course, is Harry's hair. That's the number one they fix all the time. They give him this big old head of hair. And I love this picture of an event of Harry in Japan where you can really tell how badly he is balding on top. And he is hanging on to these wisps. In front, sometimes it's not super bad. I think it depends on the lighting that he gets. But it's bad, Harry. It's really, really bad. And you still trying to do the same hairstyle? Ain't working, bud. Ain't working anymore, because sometimes it looks unbelievably bad. And Harry and Meghan seem to try to fix it. They try to put more hair on his head. And I just think that's incredibly stupid and vain. We can all see how he's balding. He's a man. If he wanted to change that, get Rogaine or something. I don't care. Do whatever you want to do to make yourself feel better. Because at the end of the day, people do plastic surgery, and I don't have an issue with it For the most part, I think people go too far, of course, but my big thing though is when they have plastic surgery or take Ozempic and then they say they didn't do those things, that is called a lie. The other big thing I think Harry and Meghan do, which again, I don't have definitive proof at any stretch of the imagination for this. Obviously, we know Harry's balding and balding badly. We know this, like he has a real Friar Tuck situation going on. He should just be mature like his brother and just remove it. Because at least William, as far as I can tell, maybe there was a time or two where they put maybe a smidge more hair on William's head. But at this point too, he's just bald and owning it. Like, awesome. That is fantastic. But when it comes to Harry and Meghan, the other thing I think they switch up is I think they make Archie's hair redder. Because some of the pictures and videos we've seen, his hair looks more auburn or dark brown. It doesn't really look red. And like I said, I have no evidence for this. I don't really care what color his hair is. What I just find interesting is that Harry and Meghan feel the need to do something as asinine as that, if that's what they're doing. Again, just putting that out there as an issue. But I think looking at this whole thing, what Harry and Meghan are seeing is obviously a lot of weakness in the Windsor camp. And a lot of this weakness is driven by a abysmally bad PR strategy from the palace at this point. And Harry and Meghan are thinking to themselves, oh, we can position ourselves as, we don't use Photoshop. Look at here. This is the original picture. Oh, and oh, look, we're doing these great deeds in Texas. Don't you want us back? Because we're going to be the best royals ever. No, Harry and Meghan don't have a road back. We even just had a poll come out that said, once again, when people were asked who their favorite royal was, it was overwhelmingly Catherine. It was overwhelmingly Catherine. According to this poll, it's an ISOP poll. Of course, this was before the whole Photoshop debacle, which I think we will see maybe a dip in her popularity, although we could see an uptick too. Found that 38% of Britons named Kate as the royal they like most. She is particularly popular among women, with 44% naming her as a favorite compared to 32% of men. Half of the 55 to 75 group also said the princess was the royal they liked the most, 37% of 35 to 54-year-olds and 28% of 18 to 34-year-olds. And so for the rest of the royals, it's not bad either. Kate is followed up by William at 36%, Princess Anne at 26%, Charles at 23%, and Camilla at 12%. Of course, when it looks at Prince Harry though and Meghan, things aren't so great. Harry is at 11% and Meghan is just at 7%. So she is being beat by Prince Edward. She is below just 1 point by Princess Beatrice, and then Beatrice is 1 point higher than Princess Eugenie. Prince Andrew, of course, is only 2%. So all that to say, Harry and Meghan still remain abysmally unpopular. Meghan Markle is still planning on reintroducing and promoting herself in the UK, that she's trying to get a UK PR team and those sorts of things. And you could see that as a direct threat to the palace, because they're like, she's not here. Everything you guys seem to be doing is going bad. And look, I have this fancy pants American PR team, and we're going to come in and we're going to fix all of this. And again, I don't think that'll necessarily work, because I think the UK, yes, they agree that the Photoshop was probably a little much, but they also agree that going after Catherine so hard is just a bit ridiculous, especially by, again, some mainstream news outlets. I'm like, really? Are you guys serious right now? Are you serious doing that for a woman who's just been through surgery and everything? But Harry and Meghan, of course, they're desperate. They need something at this point. I mean, they just seem to be professional, useless people, in my opinion. They just don't seem to do anything. Meghan Markle sharing the soap story for the 10,000th time. It's just an indicator that they really have nothing else. Like, if this is the sole, achievement of yourself as a child, then what else have you done in the last 30 plus odd years? It's seemingly nothing if the soap story is still the soapbox you're planning on sticking your flag on. And I think, again, it's just a reflection of the fact that Meghan Markle really truly wants this to be seen as something groundbreaking. But the royals weren't that impressed. Really, nobody with half a brain is that impressed by that silly story. But Meghan Markle continues to have to promote it because she doesn't really have anything else. And Harry and Meghan, Netflix recently said, well, they're great at gaining attention, which I guess is a good thing. But at the same time, it's like, well, where is that attention leading? Because that's the problem here, is that the attention just doesn't seem to lead anywhere. They get a lot of column inches, but it's not really turning into as much cold hard cash as it really should, compared to somebody like, almost you could say, the Kardashians. They're not hitting Kardashian levels. And I don't think they ever will, because they've forgotten the fundamental thing that they should have always been doing, which is working. Kardashians, you could say what you want about them. They have a fabulous work ethic. They work really, really hard for the most part, especially the older ones. The younger ones, maybe not so much because they've had a lot of things given to them, but the older ones work really, really hard for what they have. And they've been enormously successful for where they started out. Meghan Markle has all the resources in the world, and yet she's still not that popular. And even though the Windsors are going through a tough time, they don't need Harry and Meghan. I know some outlets, I saw one from Vanity Fair, and was like, wouldn't it be great if Harry and Meghan were shearing sheep in the English countryside? I was like, no, Meghan Markle hated every single second of a royal family that she could not be in control of. Because what I found most interesting about the reactions to everything is that Harry and Meghan's team, or somebody on their side, apparently decided they were going to leak a little bit of tidbit about Meghan Markle that you might not have noticed, and that is that she is a bit of a control freak. And so this would never have happened with Meghan. So let me find the quote here. So it came via the New York Post. It says, "This isn't a mistake Meghan would ever make. She has a keen eye and a freakish attention to detail." And you could also read into that she's a bit of a control freak. It's not necessarily a great proposition. So let's go ahead and look too at the Archewell response, because apparently Archewell felt the need to respond to this. And I'm like, I think you guys have bigger fires right now than this. It says, with respect to page 6, that did not come from us. Of course, that us can mean Archewell, it can mean Harry and Meghan. Like, we don't know what the us is. But it just doesn't scream very, very nice for a woman who just got on a platform last week and talked about the importance of women supporting women. Where's her support been for Catherine? It's been non-existent. And here's the thing. For Harry and Meghan, who are so desperate to get back into the royal family, that would have been the easiest PR coup ever for them. Just go up there and say the attacks against Catherine are just utterly unnecessary and that she is doing perfectly fine and everybody should just move on. But no, Meghan Markle doesn't do it. Why? Because she's reveling in it. And how can the royal family bring on somebody who revels in somebody else's pain and suffering? The answer is you can't. So Harry and Meghan are still going to be stuck on the outside looking in, but I don't think they've given up their belief that at some point the Windsors will just welcome them back into the fold. But I'd love to get your guys' thoughts. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you soon. Bye.